Hello? Hello? I've pressed all the buttons. All the lights have gone red, green, depending on your platform. I guess. Hello, good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever the clock on your wall says. Evening. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everyone's having a pleasant Sunday. Not too stressful. We might do some meta programming today again, so it might suddenly get a little bit more stressful, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Quacko, Julian, Connor, AC. Pressing buttons, make it look like I know what I'm talking about. What do I do? What do I do in these things? I think I write some code. I think that's what we do. What we do. Everyone helps out a little bit. More gameplay programming today. I've got some ideas, which is always dangerous. Emery, hello. Stomper's been catching up. Yeah, well, 2 of these a week, 4 hours a week. So I guess, yeah, it's a little bit to catch up on, depending on how long ago you started. I'm glad you enjoyed. Yes. So if you are a channel member, there is a new video out now, and I think, spoiler alert, I think as soon as the stream is done, I will probably release it to the public. So literally stream, then new video, then I can get some sleep. Working through Hello Triangle, it's a slog. Don't forget all those Welsh town names; they're really important. Yeah. So wait for some people to roll in. I think today, let me get up what we had before. So where we're at with our life is, excuse me, this. So we've got a little plane. It's actually a very, very thin rectangle, cube. Got a skybox, then we've got some barrels, and the barrels do interesting things because they kind of move in relation to us at the moment, but they have interesting movement mechanics. So the left one always moves the opposite way we move, the middle one stays the same, and the right one always moves the same way we move. And we're basically building up these mechanics, and what we spent a lot of time last stream, which I had great fun doing, I must admit, a little bit self-indulgent, because I do like some template meta programming, but we built up this compile time chain where we can add different transformations, and these will all get called in a pipeline. And the transformations are really nice because all they are is lambdas. We can basically, hey, given an in delta, so the input from the previous stage, and some game state which we control, we can basically say, hey, return a new delta, and then this will pass through the chain, and then we can opt out early. So if a state, I guess, if a transformer says, nah, you're done, it'll exit early and it'll return that, which is nice. So it means we can have some kind of logic through these. We started calling them off transforms, but I think the name changed. So the first thing I want to do is just tidy this up a little bit, because basically there's there's probably a multitude of issues with this, but I've just literally inserted an emoji wave there because I put it in the chat. Great. Measure twice, click once. There's two. Hey, Thomas. There's two issues with this. One is the file name no longer makes any sense because the only thing in here is chain and chain related stuff. So we're going to rename transforms to chain.h. Not a big deal. We'll have to rename the tests. It's a little bit of boilerplate. It's a little bit of engineering busy work, a little bit of cleaning up, but I think it's worth doing. And the other thing is that I think it was Daniel pointed out last time quite correctly that the state object that we pass in is just kind of unnecessarily templated. And I do like templates, but I will put my hand up when something is unnecessarily templated. This is kind of wrapped. There's no need to wrap T in another class. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop all these states and just have it templated on the state itself. It'll simplify a little bit of the code. We hit like an actual limitation with templates last time, or at least a limitation in my understanding of templates, where we couldn't have, because we tried to make this variadic, so we could have like a variadic number of state arguments, stick those in a tuple, and then have a variadic number of transform objects. And I thought it'd be okay because these are non-type template parameters, and these would be typed template parameters, but I was wrong, and it was a whole thing, and it was good fun. So yes, hopefully no more state.state. I'm sure we'll still need data.data somewhere, like let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a certain amount of repetition and all this, but yeah, we're going to drop the state.state. So I think that's the first thing we're going to do, and then I want to get on to the, so I'm hoping that won't take too long. Hopefully it won't take the full 2 hours. If it does, then I obviously don't know what I'm talking about. And then I want to write some more transforms. I really want to do a visibility one. So it's basically pure logic. It will either return you the delta that you've got so far, or if you can see the object, then it will pass you on to the next one in the chain. If you can't see the object, then it will just return the current delta. So the idea being that then we can have barrels that only move when you're looking at them, and we can write an inverse, so barrels only move when you're not looking at them. I'm in two minds of how to do that because there's a little bit of maths involved, and well, let's wait till we get there. So I think I can do something like, is it explore in NVim? And then I should be able to like, a lot of these old files as well. We probably need to clean some of these up as well. I can't remember. Are they just knocking around? I think we'll probably remove those. Anyway, so transforms needs to become chain.h. Helps if I put in the file extension. Right, chain.h, right, try it again. And then let's go up and then down to tests, and then transform tests should become chain tests.cpp. Right, and now nothing in theory should work, which is fine, because then we're going to cmake in the try that again. Okay. Test cmake. We're gonna get rid of all this nonsense, and then transform becomes chain. Sort those, and then chain tests. Yeah. That should just stay the same. And then main should become, so transforms. Oh, so I didn't like it because we had a transform object as well, which is the translation, scale, and rotation. So it was a little bit confusing anyway. So let's just do that. Let's have that. And then, I don't know, let's just see if we've see if that blends. Yes, yeah. Well, at least let's be honest. Yeah, at least I know it's not going to work. It's when it doesn't work and you think it should. That's where the misery truly lies. Yeah, I think we just fix up stuff as we go along. I think we've picked up a little bit of, even for such a small project, I think we've still picked up a little bit of technical debt as we've gone along, which is expected. You know, tech debt is the trade-off for correctness versus delivery time, right? That's where tech debt, in my mind, comes in. You trade off the perfectionism for timeliness, and you know, whilst you could argue we have infinite time on streams because I'll just keep doing them until we're done. There's, you know, I still need to make progress and move on to things. So yeah, I think we've picked up just a little bit along the way. Like I manage one out, not enough to declare bankruptcy yet. Okay, so that works. Okay, and then nope. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in here from the last video. CMake build assets. Right, hopefully this still works. Still does the thing. Okay, still doing the thing. So I want to get RM source game, and then like the camera transformer. Don't want that. Source game. Inverse. Don't want any of that. Source game. I think there was another one. So I guess there's static. And then there's just the base level, the base class as well, which was object transformer. Get rid of all those. FG CMake source game. So there's actually now no source files in the game folder, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everything in here is just going to be, yeah, header only. Okay, let's remove them. We don't need them. Git's pretty good at bringing stuff back from resurrecting stuff if we need it. Let's go. Let's get rid of the CMake file. FG. Go to the source CMake and then get rid of game. Okay. Just check that build and tidy it up. That's the first. That's the easier bit. Alright, okay, I've still got hangover of some stuff here. So yeah, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that. Getting a bit ahead of myself though. I'm sure it works. All the tests pass. No unit tests in the next video project. Although I am releasing the source code for the next video, which I said hopefully going live. Well, going live. I'm releasing into the wild, as it were. Source included. So there's a GitHub repo. Is, as you'll understand, let's say when, but if you watch the video, it is objectively terrible code. It is some of the worst code I've ever written, and it's pretty fun. Okay, so now let's go back to chain. Fix up my terrible dev environment. Okay, so I want to get rid of state because the whole thing should just be templated. So I think what we're going to want to do is do something like %s state s should just become s. Okay, I think that's what is needed. I'm literally just unwrapping that from the struct that I had unceremoniously constrained it to, and then chain tests. So now I don't want the test state anymore, so I should be able to just template everything on the empty state. And that should remain the same because you passed in the type, then internally it wrapped it. So I think does a lot of this now just work? Question mark? I'm sure there's something else I've got to change. Yeah, I don't really care about main because I know that's balked. Test state undeclared 24. Here we go. So now I just want to do test state with. But actually, then, just delete all that. Didn't need that bit. Test state with empty state. Give all those a quick replace. Okay, so now I think it's just main, which is fine. So now we want the game transform state, but we don't want. So I think now the game here is %s game compound state game transform state with just game transform state. And then now I don't need this extra bonus extra state object in there. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of those, don't want those. Whoop, 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 whoop. Right, and then do I actually, yeah. State.state.state.state. I think it might be there. It might be there. Thoughts, feelings? Quiet today, everyone. Just me chatting to myself about templates. State is not a member of game transform state. Almost certainly not. I'm inclined to agree with you. And then the other one was okay. Struggling with the web GPU docs. Wow, doesn't that sound like a fun way to spend Sunday afternoon? It's fine. We're all watching patiently. Great. Okay, well we got that. So yeah, what I want to be able to do is be like, oh, if I look over here and then do something, they stop moving until I move back into their range, I guess. Coming up super quick. Oh, rats, did I not? I wanted to do that as two separate commits, but I got a bit carried away. Oh well, too late. That's annoying. It's just not worth undoing the changes now to make that. Like sometimes you lose the game with Git. I should have been more diligent. Refactor chain, sure, about as good as it's gonna get. And yep, missed those. We'll just amend those. Yes, I would like to amend the last commit. Okay. Look. What's going on? Have I? Oh no! What's going on here? I didn't want to. Fine. Let's reset. Let's do mix reset. Try it again. Okay. I want this. In fact, I want all of this, and a bit of this, a bit of that, and probably all of that. I don't want any of the other stuff. I should just delete those old files. Actually, no. I should probably just ignore them is what I should do. Right, let's commit that. So let's do refactor. Wow, really struggling with the game of Git tonight. Okay, so now I guess a bit more of a balked is a great word. I think it's aptly describes many a miserable situation. Yeah. I feel like this should go. Like, I don't even know what warehouse pack is anymore. Well, I do, but. And then I kind of feel like all of assets should get ignored, and then we'll just. Because I don't really want to distribute those in Git anyway, or we should manually add them. So what I'm gonna do is ignore, and then just do like, just gonna do that. Not quite sure why I quit Vim there. Okay. Is it because these are already tracked? Again, I probably don't need that. I've modified it so it's already there. How am I running this? Am I using the... I'm gonna just commit all this up and then just have a clean... It's just I've got a clean working tree. That's fine. It's fine. I know. Come here. Tidy up. Repo. Okay, that's it. It feels better now. Now I can do commit add dot and get on with my life. Okay, right. So next challenge is I want a. So here's I've been thinking about this a lot. Okay, as one does when they work on a project. I think there's a couple of interesting things that can kind of fall out of our chaining now. The first, I could alias this way actually. No, anyway, get ahead of myself. The first is that I think we could have a is visible check, okay, and then that will either progress onwards or not. So we can, and then we could quite easily write an invert of that, which just allows the is visible to calculate the logic. So we only have to do that once and then just literally invert, potentially call that and invert it. I haven't quite decided, but definitely doable. The other thing I've been thinking quite a lot about is collisions. I definitely want the barrels to interact with each other. So at the moment, as we can see, they clip through each other. There's literally no. We don't even have the physics engine that we so painstakingly built, integrated. We've got ahead of ourselves. Isn't even instantiated. We're not using it. So I definitely want collisions. But I think due to the nature of how we're mutating the state of the barrels, i.e. we're literally just setting the position, I don't think we can just use the physics engine simulation because that's all on forces and impulses and velocities and kind of actually simulating the physical world. Whereas I'm like, this barrel is now here. Like it doesn't even necessarily it has no momentum, it has no velocity. It's just like, oh, it's now here. And it's kind of the issue with the character controller where you basically have to resolve a lot of those for yourself. Although I believe the virtual character controller in Jolt does that for you. So we're going to need to resolve the manual. So what I thought is if we had a transformer step, which is colliding, we could basically it could be literally the first one, and then that will use the Jolt physics engine to check for any intersections with other shapes, and then we can basically right, your delta, the thing you have to move, should be what you then need to move it to resolve that collision, and then stop the pipeline. So I think we might be able to use it, and literally have that as the first step. I think we might be able to do that. I think my gut feeling is that could be quite nice, but I think we'll wait till we get there because it has the potential to be a little bit grim because what do you do if there's multiple things overlapping each other? Do you then have to iterate through? Do you just assume that by the time a few frames have gone, it'll figure it out? I think it could work. Why do all the transformer stuff anyway? Seems like pointless abstraction over quite simple operations. I understand your point. I think pointless in this particular sense is quite subjective because there's obviously I want to make a game. Obviously I want to make a game. I want to build as much as possible from scratch in C++ and OpenGL. I kind of also want to use it as a vehicle for showcasing modern C++ and teaching people a bit and having it as a vehicle for discussion. So I think being able to actually show a real world use case for some more advanced template metaprogramming, I don't think that's pointless. Arguably, you could do this however you want. We started off as a simple inheritance chain, and actually, even by the time we wanted to add the second or third transformer, there was a lot of duplicate logic. There's obviously other ways you could do it. You could do the whole thing at runtime. You don't need to use compile time, like static polymorphism. So yeah, that would be my answer to that. It's a bit of fun, and I don't think it's I think there is value in it. So yeah, if you're talking about the I assume you're talking about the template metaprogramming chain transformation abstraction, right? I assume that's, maybe I'm wrong, but that's my assumption. Okay, right. So I think we need to write one which is, so so the point I am laboriously trying to get to is there are two ways in my mind that we could do is visible. Okay, so we're going to want something like, you know, const expra auto check visible, and then what? Honestly, like, I don't know why I just didn't just yank that. Right, check visible. Okay, so there's, in my mind, there's two ways of doing this. One is we do our own frustum. So there's this concept of a frustum. It's like a square-based pyramid with the top cut off, so it's six-sided shape. And your camera is effectively, at least in the perspective projection world, which is what we've got, your camera effectively defines a frustum, like the viewing frustum. It says that the field of view, so how tall it is, how wide it is, how tall it is, how far back it, how the near and far plane. It's a relatively well-known, not to me, but I can look it up, algorithm, whatever, formula for intersecting that with shapes, like, because it is itself a shape. So we could do a frustum intersection test, right? And if the shape intersects with the frustum, then it must be visible, because if it's outside the frustum, then it's not within the what will be projected onto the you know, the next the clip plane, or whatever the next part of the OpenGL pipeline is. AABB, so axis aligned bounding box, is probably a pretty simple one to do. We can, for every entity, right, we could have an AABB, we would calculate that per frame, we would update it, we could do it, blah, 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 not too complex. But there's a fair amount of boilerplate in that. Like, hopefully, even if you can just kind of imagine as I'm like babbling on about it, there's a fair amount of boilerplate. We would need to do some maths, we would need to construct an AABB, we would need to keep track of it, blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering if just like Jolt would do this for us, question mark? Like, can we just do it? Can we just drive Jolt to do a simple intersection test? Because we could get it to draw figure out an AABB for the barrel. We could probably even get it to debug render it, because that's something else we would have to do as well to check we're doing it. We'd have to then add our own debug renderer. So I don't know. I'm kind of in two minds whether we just bite the bullet and do it ourselves, or if we figure we can leverage Jolt's collision detection, yeah, or at least intersection tests. So yeah, the transformer pattern here is literally just to be able to apply a small independent blobs of logic one after the other. So I want to and resolve it to a delta, i.e. how much the barrel should move. So I've got the camera delta, which moves it in line with the camera. So whenever I move right, the delta that pops out is the same amount the camera's moved since the last frame. And then you've got like the invert, which then just takes that as, because it's a pipeline, and inverts it. So we could easily combine these or composite these to interesting things. So if we wanted one that moved the opposite way to the camera, but only when you were looking at it, we could drop in is the check visible one here, or we could start building up more and more complex ones. That's kind of the plan. Yeah. So yeah. So someone's suggesting that we just have a hitbox, and if something collides, calculate the normal. So I'm not too worried about the resolution at the moment. That's I think if we were to do manual resolution, I strongly suspect your suggestion is what we will end up with, working out the basically the vector of like one is like penetrating into the other, and then you just move it back along that, or the contact point, and figure out the normal. I guess Jolt physics. have a little look. Let's just see if we can, I don't know, maybe get to where we want with this. The problem is I don't really know what I'm looking for. I don't know if with Jolt it is possible to construct a situation where you just have two objects and check if they intersect. I don't know if they have to be part of like the physics world and the simulation and all the other parts. You know, that is a lot of overhead, which I would rather probably just write the maths for myself. So there's an AABB tree, but that'd be for acceleration. There's like geometry. So they do have an AA box, which is promising. I don't see things. I don't see Frustum in here. Let's have a go at doing it ourselves, and we can always revert to Jolt if needed. So what do we need? We need, I think the first thing to do is extend the transform entity so that it has a bounding box. Yeah, maybe mesh cuts. I don't know. It all seems to be quite complicated for something which I think is actually a reasonably trivial problem. I have to use a cube and 4 triangles. Yeah, I think let's just. So the design pattern that I'm doing, by the way, because I think there's a few people chatting about it, is called the chain of responsibility. That's like the design pattern. It's literally. There you go. This is what I've implemented, right? This is a great site, by the way, absolutely brilliant. But I've just chosen to do it at compile time rather than at runtime, and then bridge it back to runtime by having a virtual base class, so I can runtime polymorphically store them, but then sort of compile time polymorphically execute them, if that makes sense. Do ask questions, because I'd say this is quite advanced C++. And design and stuff like that, so I'm happy to kind of answer questions on it. Okay, so I think we need to construct an AABB. I want this to be separate to the entity. I don't think the entity itself should what's going on? Should know about this. I think it lives outside of it, because not every entity might need one. So I think the concept of our transformed entity, which effectively are our game objects at the moment, I think we'll do that. So step 1, construct an AABB. Step 2, draw the AABB. So AABB is axis aligned bounding box. So it's a bounding box that is always aligned to the axis, so it doesn't rotate. It's kind of, I'm going to do the basic one, which is where you just construct it to start with around the geometry you have. If the geometry rotates or scales, you will have to update it, because you can imagine like we construct a box kind of perfectly around that barrel, but if the barrel rotated to the right, then the AAB would also have to scale to fit it. You can do it's a solvable problem, but as we don't have that at the moment, I think this might be okay to start with. So I have a simple AABB. We could even not bother about the mesh geometry and just fudge it. You know, just look at, like, just figure it out by looking at it. That might even be a better place to get started, to be honest. So let's do let's do game AABB.h. People told me exceptions are bad, so should I stop using them? Oh, I can't believe that we're 34 minutes in and we're going to have the exception conversation. I do not think exceptions are bad in any language, especially C++. I think the language doesn't make any sense without them. Like, they are an integral part of the language, and I consider them to be the correct way of communicating errors. You kind of need a taxonomy of errors, like what does it mean to be an error, like how does that differ to like a partial result or partial success, and that will influence your API design. But I mean, I'm not going to wax lyrical about this. for ages because I end up doing this quite a lot, but sure does make some good shorts though. If you've written a function which has valid preconditions, i.e. all your inputs are correct given what the function is expecting, and you cannot meet the post conditions of the function, i.e. you failed to do the thing that the function said it would do, that is an error, and you should communicate that. You can obviously die, you can return an error code, you can return a boolean, you can return an optional, blah, 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 blah. But I think of it as terms of like, something has happened. If I'm writing that code, something has happened, I cannot meaningfully recover from. Someone else might be able to recover from it. I should give them a chance of doing it. And to return an error code or anything like that means the caller has to then pass that up, and they have to pass that up. And if you're like 7, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 functions deep, that's a lot of, you have to tramp that data all the way up. It might get mutated on the way, it might get converted into another error and swallowed. If you just throw an exception, that will bubble up, and whoever needs to catch it has a chance of catching it. Yeah, exactly. There's a difference between, like, if you have a partial result, if you're like, if the post condition is like this may fail, then sure, return an optional, right? That's totally what it's for, or expected. They're great. Like, I think optional is probably one of the best for like additions to the language, and is a great vocabulary type. But for communicating errors, as in like I cannot continue, I think exceptions is the right answer. Yeah, I agree with Quecker. We can fudge the counts for AABB, at least to start with, because I think the interesting one is we're going to want to render it first. Anyway, I'm gassing quite a lot and not writing a lot of code, which I assume is one of the reasons people choose to spend their Sundays with me, which I'm very thankful for. So let's do class AABB. Using exceptions is no crash. Yeah, I assume you don't let it bubble out of main, because if it escapes your executable, then it will cause it to terminate, which I guess is not a crash, but yeah. I know. I think people who what am I trying to say? I think it's very easy to create sweeping statements like exceptions are bad, you shouldn't use them, without really fully understanding like the implications of what that means, especially if you're like learning the language and someone says exceptions are bad, you could be like, oh, okay, I'll never use them again. And do you know what I mean? Like that, I think that does people a disservice. I think I could write a book on exceptions. I don't think it would be a particularly long book, but I think I'd probably write a book on it. Can't open file for writing, no such. What? Oh, because source game. Gonna treat myself and write that bit again. And also, like, how do you communicate an error from a constructor if you can't throw exceptions? But one was if like you can't handle it there. One was if it doesn't make sense to handle it until like 10 functions up, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, why you are putting the burden of the error handling on every single person between you and where it could be handled. And if they mutate that error code on the way because it gets swallowed up into something else, then you lose the context of what happened. Whereas if you throw an exception, you know exactly. And like tooling helps, right? GDB catch throw. You'll just stop when you throw an exception. You don't have to worry about it. So, and also it creates a fracture in the language, because then you've got like some libraries that say you can't use exceptions, and then you've got some that can. So what happens if you then try and integrate with a library that can't when you're using them, and blah 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 blah. Just use the language. I'm not saying you have to use it for like control flow. Well, I mean, there is context left because you put it in the exception. And again, how do you communicate an error from a constructor? Well, the way you find it with a debugger, right, is you most debuggers will break on throw, right? So you can do catch throw in GDB, for example, and it will stop at the moment it's thrown. So you can literally see where it was thrown from. So you don't have to wait for it to die. Yeah, and like you got to be pragmatic around it, right? If you've like, there is a performance impact to not to throwing, not to the, like the happy path, right? Okay, so if you've profiled your, this is the other example I say, right? You've profiled your code and you've identified a hot path, right? And you really need to optimize that down to the whatever nanosecond. I would argue, okay, you probably won't be throwing exceptions there, but you also be making other concessions, right? You probably won't be using malloc because that has potentially global locks. You might not be using this, that, or the other. You might be using some weird, wonderful data structure. Like, sure, you like don't use it at that point, but you're probably already making other concessions around, like, the way you've structured and written your code. By and large, for like the 99% of your code that's not that. Oh, that's my view. It's my opinion, and it's how I like to write code. Okay, so what's the best way of doing AABB? Is it a min and a max, or is it a center and a half size? I'm not sure which is best. It's probably, I think I'm going to go min and max. Vector 3 min, vector 3 max. Yeah, and like I'm really not here to like argue people. If you write code that adds value to a business or to your project and you don't use exceptions, sure. And the main important thing is for consistency with the rest of the code, right? When someone says, like, the original question was, I've been told they are bad, so I shouldn't use them, which suggests to me you are probably learning the language. I could be wrong, but if you are yet to form an opinion on it, that suggests you're reasonably early in your journey. And I find it's important to me to kind of give all my opinion, which you're free to ignore, but try and give the argument for why that is. No, it's fine. It's like I really don't mind people interrupting me to talk about this. I just really enjoy talking about C++. So yeah, I think it's yeah. Anyway, right. So now I'm gonna get me a min, get me a max, and I think I'm going to want getters for these. Is this just a struct? Am I really overcomplicating this? Is this just... like... I probably already spent more time thinking about it than I should, but is this just this? Like, I don't necessarily want it to be... Thing is, do I want people to be able to mutate it? Do I want someone to say your min is now over here? I guess I don't care, because the implication is just like the game wouldn't break. So I think that's fine. Like, literally just for storing data. Okay, so what I'm thinking now is, if we go back to main, now that I spent a lot of time chatting about that and nothing else, we have debug lines, so which is filled by the physics engine. Jolt fills in the debug lines from its debug renderer, but there's no reason why we can't use it, I don't think, because I think the renderer just gets... So debug lines, is that optional? It is optional, okay. So this basically says if there are debug lines, then just draw them all. And then we have a debug lines we have a line data, don't we, which has a position and a color. So we could... I see no reason why we couldn't just construct this ourselves. I'm just trying to remember the mechanics of this. So if show debug, blah, 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 blah. Delete the code, which is a little bit annoying. Where does this? I think we just fill it and clear it per scene, right? So we can do all this. We can update all the objects, and then here. Yeah, does not clear the debug lines or overwrite the whole variable. I think we copy it in. We call clear on the debug render manually, if I remember correctly, and then we just overload their draw lines and draw triangles and literally just push them back in, which is fine. So what we want to do is, I think, like, basically, what is debug lines is bind, unbind, count. Hang on, wait, no, I'm confused. Do we construct a new debug lines every frame? We must do. I guess because we wouldn't. Oh, there's literally no other way of overwriting this. This is. So what we must do is do something like when we have the physics engine, do. Yeah, okay, fine. So I think what we can do is do something like auto debug line data equals stud vector game line data, and then we will push these in, and then we will do scene dot debug lines equals debug lines, game debug lines, and this takes the debug line data. I think that's right. So on each iteration, we will basically construct a new set of line data. We'll fill that in as we're looping through the entities, and then we'll just render it. I think that's right. Prime Coder on Twitch. Thank you very much. Yep, C++ and OpenGL. That's what we're doing. Okay, I think that's right. So now, what am I zipping? Entities and that's so I have access to the light per thing, which I might remove. I'll leave it for now, but we definitely don't need it. Okay, so now here we can have we can grab our new fancy AABB struct, and then we can do game AABB, so bounding box. So there's two things now. One, we have to construct it, which means we're just going to fudge it per object. I think so. It's not great. I think we can write a helper function which does this for us, but for now, so the one in the middle is going to be something like the min is going to be minus 1.0f minus 1.0f minus 1.0. Need more brackets. And then the max will be something like, I'm just going to put in something to get us going with, and then we'll draw it. And then once we can draw it, we can go figure out what we're doing with it. Because these will need to be updated as well per when they move. Well, quite a lot to do. Man, this is going to be fun. It's going to be quite in depth. Okay, so this one's going to be something like 5 across. So let's do going to be 5 across, and then so this will therefore be what, like 4? There's 1 back, and then this will be -5, and then what? -6. Something or nothing. Something like that. Why is it not like that? Oh, it's in place back, isn't it? So it can't deduce the type, obviously. Game AABB. So I tried not to gloss over too much. Like I'm like, obvious. In place back uses something called perfect forwarding, where it's just going to forward all these arguments onto the constructor, but it has no concept of what the types are, as in it will deduce the types from the arguments you give it. So here, this will just deduce to an initializer list. It won't know that this is actually supposed to be the constructor for a game, an AABB object. So that's why I just tell it what it is here. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So now we go entity a. So here we would update the AABB, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I really want to get the rendering first done. So now we're going to need like if debug, but like I think we can remove it later. So I need to. I gotta work out like how many lines do I want? I want 4, 8, 12, and some. Do I want some diagonals, or do we think that's going to be too complex? So we just start off with 12. So I want to do the top. Let's do the top 4, and then the long boys, and then the base 4. So let's pick. Let's do. I'm just trying to visualize this. Oh, AC, still a member. Good to see. Thanks very much. Okay, let's take the top 4. So that's going to be the max point, right? So let's do debug line data dot pushback. What's the line data? Is it a? Oh, I've got to do it in pairs. I think someone pointed out that line data was a misleading name because it doesn't actually define a line; it defines a point. But here we are. So this would be AABB dot. Actually, it's not too bad doing it this way. Max, and then green. All right, and so here, because I'm using pushback, which is templated on the underlying type and knows about it, I can drop the type from here. He says, why is this not working? Oh, because I need to do that. Okay, so now, this should be 8 in total, right? I'm going to do max to the. Jesus, I've got the. I'm really struggling to I've got paper. I'm really struggling to visualize this. So I've got the max point, which is the corner. So then I need to do one line from max to left 1. So if that would be the min. I need to subtract from this. Another game vector, which is I want to go left, so that would be AABB dot max dot x minus AABB dot min dot x, and then that would be 0.0f 0.0f. So I want to put 1 point at the maximum point, and then I want to do one at that y and at that z, but left x, and left is the distance it takes. I think someone's just dumped it all into the chat for me. Something like that. Is it just like a combination of all the different mins and maxes? Oh, I see. So actually, this is easier than this, right? So then this should just be. Oh yeah, it is easy. Yeah. I think I see it now. I think I was missing the intuition. So this should be AABB dot min dot x. Yes. Okay. Fine. And then AABB dot max dot y. AABB dot max dot z. Right. Okay. I think. think I've got the intuition now. So then I would go from there for the next one. So that's going to be in that corner, and I'm going to want to go keep that x, keep that y, but then take the minimum. No, yeah, take the minimum on the z. Right, and then so we've got that line, then that line. So this line is going to go from the minimum z, keeping all the y's the same, to max.z, min.z. And then the final one is going to go from max back to max. So I start off at the maximum point, and then I draw a line to left to the minimum x point, and then I go from the same one to, because you're basically just going to adjust one component each time to draw the square. So then I go back to the min z, and then I keep that the same, and then I go from the min z to the max, and then I go from max there. Okay. I might just draw this first and just see where we get to. See if this is indeed anywhere near what I want it to be. This is something that Copilot would absolutely just like crap out in an instant. I mean, I've only got 2. I was expecting 3. Oh no, is that a tiny one, like a tiny one there? And my input's wrong. I might have to render doc this. Yeah, my min and max are wrong. So for the one in the center, I want to be. Oh yeah, these are. Oh yeah, I can see. Right. Okay, fine. 1 minus 4. No, 4. No. So the distance between -1 and 1 is 2. So this should be 3. And then between 4, so that should be 7. Sure. Sounds good to me. I'm surprised more people haven't tuned off. Like, please don't, but watch some person on the internet fail to draw a square for 2 hours straight on a Sunday. The third one, which is that one looks alright, the third one. I think it's this one that's wrong. -6 to -4. Okay, well, I'll believe you. I think these need to go up a bit as well, just because I'm struggling to see them through the... Oh, I feel pain, Mario. Yeah, I want the box centered on the barrel start. So this is... So yeah, you're right. The third one is wrong because those look reasonably centered. Of course, by the time we get up to it, it's moved. That's actually pretty good. Pretty good. This one's not. This one's having a terrible time. What have I done wrong? No, wait a minute. It's this one that's wrong. Should that be... That should be a minus. That looks better. I'm still not convinced about that right one, but it needs to be a little bit bigger as well. Not by much, but a little bit. They all seem equidistant away, so maybe it's just the perspective on that one. Okay, let's draw this. Let's draw the vertical ones. So this is going to be, again, starting off here, and then I'm going to go to... So this is going to go through each of the corners again, and then draw between that and the counterpart below it. So this is going to be same XY position, but different min. And I won't need to chain them together like this. So I now should be able to do... I can pick each one of these, right? So then this column here becomes min, and then I want this one here, and this goes to the min, and then I want those two, this one here to the min. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's right. Any one way to find out. And we've got to translate it as well, which I guess... Do we multiply them by the transformation matrix, or do we just... Oh, look at that. It's not bad. I mean, it's a little bit off center and a little bit the wrong size, but... Oh, the back one kind of got a little bit, a little bit left behind. Oh, where's he gone? 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one is it? So I've got max. I've got Max with that min. Bottom one max X. Yes. Good spot from Twitch. Okay, yeah, something gone very dark. There we go. Okay, right, and let's just draw the bottom one, which I think is just going to be this again, but now min, and it's annoying. Okay. I might get rid of this max so it's consistent, otherwise it looks a bit strange, but let's just see if it works. Oh, actually, they're probably too low. I bet they clip through the floor. Oh no, there you go. Okay, cool. Right, well that was easy. Ish. Okay, so now let's get them moving with that. I'm just gonna I'm going to just get rid of this max because I find it's actually now less intuitive than I would like. Okay, let's just check that still blends because I've only changed 3 lines, which means the whole thing will now stop working. Where's my... Oh. I apologize, YouTube. I'm really sorry. I think my tool has stopped putting your comments through. I thought it was being a bit quiet. Okay, that works. Let me just fix up my terrible tooling. What's going on? What is... it signed me out. Okay, fine. Great, thanks. Can I do this without revealing everything? Okay, that's fine. Back. And then... yeah, I know, right? Okay, we're back. I was going to read through the comments quick to see what I missed. Harrond, you're here. Apologies, I was not ignoring you. My terrible tooling, my terrible setup made me ignore you. I think it's mostly just people chatting. I don't think I've missed out on any questions. If I've missed out a question, just ask it again. Okay, right, so now that we're debug lining, will this be a fully fledged game engine? Great question. No. By design, I want to make a game from scratch, from as much scratch as possible. And so everything we do is really just in the pursuit of making that. Basically. So I'm trying not to write any code that doesn't drive us towards a game. There will be like a core in it, which I think I might extract out in future projects. I really want to do, if and when this is ever done, I would really like to make another game, and we'll probably use this as a foundation for that. So I think over time it will evolve into an engine. However, I am not focusing on building an engine because there's lots of stuff you need in there to make it generic and usable that doesn't drive this particular project forward. So no, it's the answer. It's going to be like a puzzle game. You can see here what we've got at the moment. We can move stuff around. It's going to be like some sort of movement-based puzzle game, I think, at the moment. I might just chuck might just jack it all in and make a Flappy Birds clone with a really sweet custom renderer. We'll see. Okay, so we've got that rendering. So now that we have that, I think we can start to think about doing the... Oh no, we've got to get moving, haven't we? So we've got the entity delta, so I think I can just add that to the AABB stuff, right? I can just do like AABB dot min plus equals entity delta. We could add an overload, an operator overload to the AABB struct, but not that fast. Need to define minimax based on positions. They can update easily. I'm not really sure I follow, but that works. Happy with that. Again, it won't handle translations or scales, but for now, I'm actually kind of tempted to make them a little bit smaller because I'm hoping that might help us debug the visual stuff. Do you know what I mean? So like something like that, it should pop out of existence there and then pop in there. It might help us debug it a little bit. That's the excuse I'm going to have for being lazy. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Okay, so I've got some maths. Up. I'm not sure. I got I think we have to construct a normal for each of the 6 faces of the frustum. I think we need to convert them to a plane, and then we can do the plane AABB intersection for each of them, I think. So let's do... Anyway, that's according to this example code I found. So let's give it a go and see what happens. I think debugging this is going to be an absolute nightmare. Source game frustum plane.h. Once game. I'm not sure if this should be sit in game. I feel like this is probably actually like it's outside. I don't know. I think we're going to end up doing a big refactor all the files again anyway. For now, I just want to kind of get on with it. Struct. Frustum plane. And this will have a... If anyone knows the maths for this and I'm doing it wrong, do let me know. Vector 3, normal, and then float distance, which I think is, I guess, how far along that normal it is from the origin, where the center of the plane is, I guess. But I think if you check which side of the plane, maybe it's not the intersection, I think maybe you end up checking which side of the plane it's on, and therefore it's on, if it's on enough inside planes, then it must be in the box. It's Ugh, it is. Because I say frustum, I think because I don't say frustum. I don't know what this is, and I really don't want it. Go away. Thank you. Okay, so okay, so let's do something like yes, I think we've all made the we've all had a go at the frustrating joke. So this is not an anonymous namespace. Interesting. That's wrong. Okay. Okay, right. Let's go auto get calculate Frustum planes from a game const game camera stood array game Frustum plane 6, right? Okay, right. Do auto planes equals stood array game Frustum plane 6u turn planes. Okay. Yeah, it's a square-based pyramid with the top cut off. I think I explained that reasonably well. Okay, so to extract these, we need to do for auto plane planes. Go through each one. They've been default constructed, so we're just going to fill them in one at a time. So this assumes you have the view and proj matrix already multiplied. So const auto view proj equals camera dot view times camera dot. Is that the right way around? Nope, wrong. Okay, already off to a good start. I thought it felt like the wrong way around. Oh god, what do I not get this back as a? I guess right. Okay, fine. Regretting all my life's choices. Okay, so hopefully that should work. How is that not a? That is. Do I just not have matrix included here? Right. Okay. I just get used to it. Like, it's just. So the question was like, why do I not find these red bits of text annoying? It's a symptom of my terrible setup that I just have to. It's my cross to bear, I'm afraid. Like, if I want to use the setup, I have to appreciate it's not 100%. Where does it think I have something? I don't know what. I don't know what Explore does in Neovim, but it certainly messes up things. Okay. So now, hopefully I can be like, what's my... It literally has array of 16 as the thing. I really don't understand why. Oh, because it's a span. Oh, god damn it. This should probably take a span, right? Nothing like changing a matrix code halfway through. Right, okay, so that takes a span. Because then it can't be const express. I think I'm going to have to accept that this is going to have to be a little bit different now, but that's fine. So then what we're going to do is, have I got error handling in here? I do not. Error, all right. Ensure elements dot size is equal to 16u. Not enough elements, and then like what? This is the mem copy elements dot data elements dot data elements dot size in bytes. Yeah, I think if you want to construct a matrix from a span, like you should make sure there's 16 elements there. If you've given it less than that, is obviously this is undefined behavior. If you give it more, then I'd argue you've not given it a matrix, you've given it something else. Maybe if you wanted to go over a subset, but like you would just create a subspan, right? I think, and then that forces you to do it. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Why is this still not like working? Ooh. So the question is, why not a span with a static extent? Is a span with a dynamic extent implicitly convertible to that? And right, so because what I want to make sure I can construct it from this. Oh, constfloat, god damn it. What I'm saying is, I don't think, because they're different types, I don't think there's a conversion from. So span has two options, effectively, two flavors, two types. You can, much like a std array, compile time, say how many elements are in it, so static extent, or you can have dynamic extent, where it's runtime determined. I don't know how I must admit, I don't actually know how convertible those are to each other. I know everything else in the game, nearly said engine, produces spans of dynamic extent. So I think, and just keep it as that for the moment. That's a good point. I really should go and I should have a look at that. Okay, right, this accepts it now. So this seems to think I need to get the rows. Of data. What does GLM row get you? It wants you to do this, right? So this is obviously we've got our own vector class. Oh, we don't even have a vector 4. What is like? What does this number? What does this number mean? Like, what does this mean? That'll be probably the row index, right? That'll be get the third row. So if I want the third row, but mine's a column major order, I need to be like, hang on, auto, no, I can't, let's just do const float row equals, what I really don't want to do is define a vector for, like I really just can't, like, unless I really have to. Although actually, do I need to create a row class and have the vector pop it out? Because I'm going to have to do some maths on the row. Almost certainly going to have to. I need that, so it's e source vector 4.h source vector 3.h. This is, let's say write good code. Okay. So W X Y Z W X Y Z W X Y X Y Z W X Y Z W. Okay, and then this will be float Z. And in the spirit of only writing code we need, I'm basically going to delete everything out of here that isn't the maths I need for this. So get rid of this. I'm going to need the equality operator, right? And then I'm going to need the, I think I just need the addition operator. So I'm just going to, right, and then that's that, that is that, that is that, and then get rid of all the shit. And then we will need the formatter. Nailed it. Okay. Was there a question, sorry, about includes? I missed that. What's the best way to include header files if you want to make a library? Relative or just include from header direct? Does it even matter? What's the best way to include headers and files if you want to make... I'd say the first thing if you're making a library is make sure all your headers are in a top level directory, which is the name of the project. So that way when someone includes it, they can include like, or they can then choose all the headers of like your library / whatever. It means it just reduces the chance of clashes, because if you have 3 projects and they will define foo.h, then it's kind of a massive pain if they're not effectively namespaces all the headers, right? So I definitely do that. Probably my first advice. Relative or just include from include direct. Yeah, I'd say if it's for a library, ship it as namespaced effectively. So stick them all in the top level directory, and then after that, it's kind of whatever you want, as long as it's consistent. I'm trying to think of an example of what I'm talking about. What's a good? Does Jolt do this? I don't think Jolt does this. Oh no, Jolt does do this. Yeah, so all of Jolt's header files are in, well, and their source files as well, I think, are all in Jolt. So when I include it, I make sure that the compiler and all the tooling can find this directory, and then I can do jolt/jolt.h, jolt/physics, blah, 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 blah. So it kind of prevents any potential name clashes. I would for a library, I would separate out the header and source files, because what you really want to be able to do is just ship someone potentially a compiled binary, a compiled library, and the header files as an option, or all the source, and they can build it themselves. But all you really need to do to consume another project is the built library and the header files. I'm using MSVC through Wine because why not? What's life without whimsy? Okay, right. Okay, so now I can go over to the matrix class. Oh, lots of changes today. I do kind of want to. Oh no, ignore me. Right. So now we got a vector 4 class, which I didn't want to write, but here we are. We should be able to do const expra. I think so. Const expra auto row stirred size t index. I mean, it's only 0 to 4, so it doesn't need to be that big. Vector 4. Ensure index is less than or equal to 3. So index out of range. And then I've not hit an MSVC ice yet. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I prefer to use the compiler for the platform I'm targeting, and I'm targeting Windows, so I use the Windows platform. Like, I know Clang, well, MinGW is not quite there, but cross-compiling with Clang is pretty good. I like MSVC's library is pretty up to date with C++23, so there's that as well. It doesn't really matter. I just pick one, and yeah, he's got me again. So yeah, I want to build for Windows. I want to use the Windows platform compiler, but I want to do it under a Linux dev environment, so I use it through Wine. It is certainly not for everyone. Okay, so now I've got to work out with my column major order. I feel like this is just like is this just modulo maths? Is this like return index modulo? Because I want to get the it's index. Elements index, right? And then elements index plus 4. Elements index plus 8. Oh, lots of visualizing stuff today. Elements index plus 12u. Why? Because I gotta. I think that's right, because if I've got 0, 1, 2, if I have 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If I wanted index 1, I would get 1 plus 4, 5 plus 8 is 9. Yeah, I think that's right. I'm so glad someone got the reference. Thank you. Why is there no matching constructor? I've literally just built. Oh, no, you're right. I'll take it all back. Okay, The Mask, the original one. Great. Absolutely great film. Jim Carrey at his absolute height. Great film. I'm torn between that and Ace Ventura 2 as my favourite sort of Jim Carrey film of that era. Okay, right. So now I can get the row. I can continue with just like copying and pasting this maths that I've found on the internet. So auto row equals view proj dot row 3u. I just it's not. I did not. Okay, be quiet. Okay, so now I think we're gonna need some ranges because I need to get the iteration index. So let's do index plain. Gotta make this const, even though it's not const because ranges are weird. Stirred views enumerate, and then apparently I do if index %2 equals 0, then row plus equals view proj dot row index over 2. Index over 2. Else row. Okay, fine. Oh, I do need the subtraction. Oh my god, I made it right. Pig zero this code. What is this? Please, Clang format. Save me. Okay. It's like, oh, I won't implement the subtraction operator. Who's going to need that? Me. I'm going to need that. Okay, right, so now we're there, and then we're going to do const auto normal equals vector 3 vector 4. So what I'm doing here is just going to add a vector 3 constructor from a vector 4. Const vector 4 v const extra, I think you'll find extra, and then this is going to be do vector 3 v.x v.y v.z, and then that. So then we can go equals game vector 3 row. That's apparently how we find the normal, is we do some stuff, and then const auto length equals have I done length? I've not. Okay. Auto length const float return stood hypot v.x v.y, v.z, and console to length equals length. And then we'll just change that to that. Sorry, I'm ignoring the chat. Apologies, I'm in the zone. What's everyone talking about? No one has ever referred to me as a Lanzarote Crusader before, and I'm really not sure how to take that. I've been called worse, but I've definitely not much worse. How a scale of 1 to 10, how many gigs of RAM is Clang D using? Oh, 11, like all of it. I have none left. I've been actually looking at specking up a new rig just so I can have Clang D function better. You know, you should see some of the unhinged comments I get. It's unreal. I will not be repeated here, but some of them are absolutely outstanding. I have 32 gigabyte things of RAM, but I could always do with more. I wish when I built my machine, I really wish I went for 64. I didn't realize I'd be doing streaming and video editing and stuff. So next machine will have 64. Okay. So then I should be able to now do plain equals game dot normal equals normal, and then dot distance equals, what do I call that? Okay. Yeah, 32 is pretty good. I just like with lots of rendering going on, and if I've got other stuff running, I think 64 will be pretty sweet. But I can't. It's very rarely I'm struggling. But if I build another machine, 32 I think will be 64 I think will be the way to go. I've got a always forget which GPU RTX 3080, so that's 10 gig of dedicated GPU. Yeah, a little bit old now. No, I've always had a 3080. I might have just gotten it wrong before when I've said what I've had. I say always. I've had this machine for just before I started YouTube, so about 3 years now. Did I say? Oh, well, if I said 3070, I accidentally lied, and you have a much better memory than me, or I just forgot what I had. I've had this machine for a couple of years now, so definitely 3080. I want a 4 series at least because I think they have better hardware transcoders for streaming, but yeah, what are you gonna do? What I should do is finish this maths. So I've looked through those, I've done that, return the planes. What is... Okay, return the planes. So that calculates my Frustum planes. I then need to do auto if I type this intersects Frustum const game AABB stood span. Oh no, I might as well just. Don't want span. Don't want span. Don't want constant array reference. Just an array. Game. Main 16 new planes. And that'll be a bool, I imagine. I don't want to. All my code's gone. Take out my const. Okay. In Terry. There you go. Nailed it. Okay. Nailed it. Yeah, I can't spell. So for const auto plane in planes, let's do some maths. This is not going to work, and I've got absolutely no idea how to debug it. So I want apparently a auto positive vector, which is a game vector 3, which is the AABB.min, and I want a negative one, which is max. Apparently that's what I want. Just following this code. No, it's fine. Like it's all helping. I very much appreciate it. Okay, so if plane.normal.x is greater than 0.0f, I assume, then the positive vector.x equals. Sure, I'm going to just take this as legit. I just do not have the energy to try and go through all this from first principles. If this feels like a solved problem, I've done the hard work. I've drawn a wireframe box. I feel like this shouldn't be too bad. If I copy and paste it, then I'm less likely to get an error, right? Because I've already, the code above it I know is fine. Why? So the positive is the max, and I think this is now exactly the same for the Z. I don't know about the copyright, but you can expect a warm, generic thank you in the credits. I've done Z, haven't I? 92. Oh, good spot. So this comes up every now and then. I apologize if the sound of the keyboard is annoying for you. This is the setup I have. I don't have another keyboard. Well, actually I do, but it's also clickety clackety. Apologize. I think unless there was a, what am I trying to say? This is the way I program, and I program live, so it kind of all comes part of it. So I do apologize if you find the noise disturbing. I think unless like I was boycotted because of it, it seems unlikely. Even then, like this is kind of the experience. So I can only apologize that it's not for you. No, I mean, like I can empathize and apologize. I'm probably not going to change, but but I can at least, like I say, try to empathize with people. Apparently now, like all I need to do is return plain.normal. Oh, I not got a dot. I not got a dot product. Outrageous. Auto. Really adding all the functionalities again, and we will go back and add tests for these at some point as well. Oh, good spot. So the double product, that's the, is it the pairwise? I really should know this, but this is the, you need to dot it with something, aren't I? Why is some of these, why is this static? I guess I should keep it consistent. We're definitely going to do like a code review of this at some point and go back and fix like loads of issues. We could chance people to go ask questions and kind of like refresh ourselves on what we've done. What is it? It's like v1.x times v2.x plus v1.y times v2.y plus v1.z times v2.z. Like, do shout out if that's wrong. I'm pretty sure that's right. So apparently now I need to return game vector3 dot plain dot I don't think this code is correct, because if I do plain normal negative vector plus plain dot distance is greater than naught. In fact, actually, that is equal to. So this is kind of what the code that I found says. All right, and then it never mentions the positive vector again. So what was the point? No, to be honest, I prefer the interface for classes to be quite small. I'd rather stuff was in free functions and then have member stuff that only needs to be member functions. So prefer, was it non-friend, non-member functions first. It doesn't really matter at this point. What does concern me is this code, because why bother tracking positive vector? I mean, I'm going to run it and see what happens. So check visible. I really don't like the way Clang format does this. I find this quite egregious. Oh no, I totally, yeah, the code is wrong, because you're right. Oh, no, I've seen where I've gone wrong. I see partly where I've gone wrong. Sorry. If, that's a good spot. If that is less than 0.0f, return false. Else, if you get to the end, return true. That's still doesn't take into account the positive vector, but at least that will iterate through all of them. Well, until this is false. So what I want to do is I basically want to say in whatever in is, but then I want to, I think I'm going to calculate the planes per call, but we could calculate them once per tick and stuff them in the state eventually, but I'm not too fussed about that. So const auto planes equals calculate frustum planes state dot camera, okay, and then return in, and then we're going to do I want it to proceed if it does intersect, so because I think the variable is stop, isn't it? So not intersects frustum. Oh, we need to know the AABB, don't we? State dot AABB planes. What do you not like about that? What do you not like? Oh, that shouldn't be a reference for start. Just copy that, take that by value. Yeah, I think it just might be terrible code I found. Well, I mean, I say found. I'm perfectly honest. I asked ChatGPT this the other day. How do you do frustum intersection? So lo and behold, it might not be perfect. It did seem convinced that it was the right answer though. Why is it not like intersects frustum? What have I? Oh, because it should be 6. That's why. It's a lot of planes. Okay, fine. Let's try. We've got a couple of things to try now. So let's wire this in so we can stick this into our pipeline. Let's stick it. So it doesn't matter on the default one. So let's stick it in. What do I call it? Check visibility. I literally have written it and I already can't remember what it's called. Check visible. And then check visible. And then I just need to, before we do this, stuff in the AABB. Dot AABB equals that. So we need to update the AABB. Oh, have we now got a... Oh, interesting. I think we've got a bit of an impasse here. I can't update the AABB without calling the transformer, but I can't call the transformer without knowing what the AABB is. Just do it from the last frames one. Like, probably gonna be okay. I don't like that at all, by the way. Absolutely not happy about that. Let's just start fixing the compiler errors. Fine, if you say so. I thought it could. Oh no, of course it can't, because the ensure and the memcopy, obviously. So that cannot be the only issue. Yeah, there we go. First, you're gonna have to tell me what game you're playing that has raids. Secondly, we want to build up the logic of the barrels, but so like this one moves when we move right, or this one moves, so this one moves with the camera, this one moves the opposite way to the camera, this one only moves when we're looking at it, this one moves when we're not looking at it, and kind of have some sort of composition of all those. We started off with a pretty classic inheritance structure, so literally a bunch of transform objects, but there was a lot of duplicate code. So now what we have is a bunch of little blobs of logic, which are just little lambdas, which basically say, given some input delta and this global and this sort of like constant game state, output another delta. And the idea is you pipeline all these, so they kind of accumulate all these, and then that's your final delta, and then this all goes through what we call the chain, which is it's a little bit of template metaprogramming. So compile time, you give it all of your lambdas, and then it will run through each one and process them all. But it kind of handles all that at compile time, or as much of it as it can. But each transformer has the option of saying like don't continue. So the idea is that if we have a check visible one, if it's not visible, then it can stop the pipeline there and just output whatever the current delta is. So it's just a way of compositing little blobs of logic, so we can kind of create interesting different movements. Hello in Brazil. I've never played WoW. I think I used to play a lot of Destiny 2, and I raided a lot in that, which was good fun. I think the plan is just to, in theory, make it easy just to experiment quickly with lots of different things and add them together in interesting ways. So I think, probably want quite fine-grained control. What? Oh, of course, yeah. I kind of wanted to be honest, I kind of wanted to do some template metaprogramming, and I thought it'd be a kind of interesting thing to discuss. So that's part of the reason why we did it. The other is that I think it's quite, because it's the chain of responsibility pattern. I think it's quite a nice little framework for just like writing a bunch of lambdas that just do what we need to do. Yeah, I stopped playing before Witch Queen, so quite a few years ago, because that's when I started basically spending all my time on YouTube. Bleh, what is all this? Is this all? Oh, it doesn't like all my tests. I'm very surprised it cannot turn the initializer list into a span. That's not going to work. For the sake of progress, I'm going to do what you shouldn't do. I'm just going to comment out these tests for the moment because they're not that good anyway. And I really wanted to see if this works because I do have to release a video tonight as well. No, it's a dynamic extent span, which is why I'm kind of surprised. Well, you'll have to wait and find out what the new vid is. Don't be a dick about it. Yeah, I really enjoyed D2. Right. Okay, so nailed it. Okay. if I just got the logic the wrong way around. So if I just like do that and do that, okay, fine, nothing works. Something is very wrong here. So it thinks they are permanently outside the frustum. I'm gonna have a quick look at this. I must admit, I don't know how much are we going to get done tonight. It might be something that we just pick up Wednesday and kind of re-go through, because this is going to take massive. I'm just going to top to bottom the logic from what I borrowed and to see if they've made any obvious mistakes. We've got the view projection matrix, right? We go through each of the planes are 6, so 6 of those. We get to the third row, which I'm pretty sure is right. What I suspect we'll do is start adding unit tests for all these extra bits we've added to check that they're all right, and then basically slowly build them up together. I also need to fix the constructor for matrix 4 because I'm not particularly happy with it. Why did I? I've already forgotten why we moved away from... Oh, because I need to construct from this. I think we just need an overload. I think we just need 2 constructors, a stud array. If it can disambiguate between array and span, I assume if you had an array, it would pick array because it's a better match than implicitly casting it to a span, I think. So, yeah, I think let's have a quick look. So, frustum AABB intersection. Correct frustum AABB intersection. The separating axis theorem. There you go. I've not heard that in ages. Oh, I don't want the proof of the lemma. Come on, I'm not university. I just want the code. Not even saying it. Okay, so it looks like I'm missing... I think I'm missing something on here. I think I'm missing... if... I think so I found someone else who's had a go at this, and they do have similar maths. So if you take the normal and then the positive one, I think, well, they call it min and max, but that is... The min is... Oh, Jesus, which one? So if that is greater than that, they put the... Interesting. Okay, fine. So I think... Well, I'm just going to try this one super quick. Oh, hang on. I think this is right. Okay, fine. So I think they have like an else on all these, which is so they put the negative takes the min, the positive takes the max, else the... I think they swap these around. Right. Positive max. Yeah, okay, fine. So watch as I get all this wrong again. Just copy and paste some more code. Okay, and then they have if game dot normal pos. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Getting there. Pos is something like that. Well, they have it as that. Sure. I mean, I think this might be a full stream of just finding the maths that we like and kind of going through it all and testing it all. Good. Oh. He's moved, right? Like that's. I can't get it to move again, but it definitely moved. Nailed it. Right, I think this isn't great. This is not ideal. It doesn't work, and we've written an awful lot of code. Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying that it's sort of Doctor Who Weeping Angels. Like, that'd be a fun one. If I just walk over here. Why does it only move that once? And then, oh, now this one's moved. Blinking your segfault. Like, I just keep on like trucking this way. Terrifying. Okay, I have a video to release and I want to stay up for a little bit to watch, just sort of, I don't know, watch the analytics and the comments come in. So I'm going to wrap this up here because I think Wednesday we're just going to sit down and we're going to bash our head against this and we're going to just figure this out. It is 100% a solvable problem. I'm going to look up, I think, Kweko, you said there were some, I was going to copy what you said. You said there's some good examples of this. Final was a plane of view frustum on Math Stack Exchange. That looks like what I want. Yeah, what we'll do is we will next stream we will tidy up all the extra code we wrote, test everything, check all our new primitives are fine, and then we will just basically bash our head against this until we get it. I think we're probably not too far away. Hey, super chat from Jeremy, thank you very much appreciated. How very kind. I'll give that a little heart icon there, put my face next to it. Yeah, I hope you guys had fun. Thank you very much for coming along. Hang on, where's magic? I think we got quite a lot done. And it doesn't feel like it, but I think we're getting there. I think these are always going to be the tricky ones, and I think I'd rather just know what the problem is at the start of the stream and just bash our heads against it. Cool. Thanks very much, everyone. New video soon, so you should definitely watch it 5 times and comment and like and upvote and restream and share and all those other good things. Catch you guys there. Yeah, hopefully see you on Wednesday. Thanks so much, and I think I pressed this button.